Jim. Wise words. Know your terrain, carry a soft sign. Got it. All right. How's everybody doing? It's all good? Everybody comfy? Okay, we're getting to the good part. Visuals. Now, Bob, where'd you go? Where's Bob? Oh, there he is. Bob Patrici is going to come up and do a Paley's Appeal presentation for us.
Yeah. Aloha. Hey, I just want to say, when we did this before, it was just the community. Without the Pele Defense Fund, we were standing by ourselves, and we really owe them. And I'm so happy to be working with them again on this and to have them the support. So this is a preview of a PowerPoint presentation that we're going to give tomorrow night. I'm going to try and run through it pretty fast, and then, in fact, if you want, you can break down into the groups. What do you think, Steve? You want to break down into the groups while we do this? No? Okay. So, this is the opening. And then we're going to show, that was the video we're going to show tomorrow night. It will be Pele's Appeal. And that was the video that was made back when we did this in the early 90s, I think. So we're going to start with history, and we're going to talk about all this stuff at the county council. So I'm not going to spend too much time on it here, and you have to hear it twice. But I'm just going to run through this so you can kind of see that we did spend a lot of time on this. We've done a lot of research, and we can back up everything that we're going to say tomorrow night. Tuesday night. This is a picture of the HGPA well. They used to dump this stuff right on the ground in unlined ponds, and they found it all the way down in the water wells at Green Lake. So they did contaminate the aquifer, and we haven't had any adequate testing of the aquifers since, and that's something that we need to ask for. These are sample lists of open ventings from HGPA. Those are all the dates and it's just a partial list, but those are all verifiable times that they just let that stuff go unabated in the community. And basically for 7 years, they ran that stuff. And PGV told us at that time that they were going to do the same thing, that open venting and open just abating on the top was the BACT, Best Available Control Technology. That was what their permit required for. And we had to sue them to make, the only reason they re-inject is because we sued them. We proved in court that they had a better technology than the they tell them. They were lying. And let's see. This is what they used to do. They'd put this sign up and then they'd blow that stuff all over us. And it used to rain down on us and we'd be covered with it. And it'd be all over everybody. These are civil defense declared emergencies at the PGV plant. Now this is from a report that ended in 1999, so we don't have any, what happened between 1999 here, but there are 18 on this board times that the Civil Defense Agency declared an emergency at the Puna Geothermal plant, and that is in the record. So, for people that say that, that PGV is better or safer, they had 19 civil defense emergencies. There's 18 on this list, but there's more than that. This was a letter from the mayor at the time, Lorraine Inouye, and she declared I believe she declared an emergency proclamation of what was happening. Here's what a geothermal well blowout looks like. They happen all over the world. You can go online and Google it, and you look at all of the different plants, all of the different projects. They have well blowouts. It's a common occurrence. It's not a rare occurrence. We have the most toxic resource that I know of. It's the highest pressure. It's the most corrosive, and it's the most geologically unstable. When they had the KS7 kick out and the KS8 blowout, it was because they hit the resource before they expected it. It was so close to the surface. The problem, and then they couldn't cap that thing fast enough. The problem is when you hit a resource close to the surface, that's when you can get an uncontrolled well that you can never cap. And that's happened before in other places, in California, in the geysers. And what happens when they can never cap these wells, they put a mountain of rocks on it, and they inject caustic soda into it. And we came very, very close to having that in Puna already. And before we start building any more power plants, we need to look at all this stuff, and we need to be at the table. They've had all these commissions and meetings and working groups, and not one of the people that you've seen up here on the stage tonight has ever been invited to talk at those meetings and be part of those commissions. And some of those people on those commissions are here tonight. This is a school bus, and the HGPA, that was the school bus stop, and that well vented on that school bus every day for 7 years, and that's a child that just got off that bus. And they told us that we were imagining this, that was psychosomatic. Well, I'll tell you what, that's not true. It wasn't true then. And the Department of Health, we had a study, like Harry Kim said, we had Dr. Legator come out here from Texas, and Bruce Anderson said, oh, those people are just rabidly anti-geothermal. Now, why would a whole community turn rabidly anti-geothermal? We were rabidly anti-geothermal, but we had a good reason to be. Then he comes back. We get these results that show damages. People are sick. We sue. We get damages. Then he says, "Oh no, it's the volcano that did it. It wasn't geothermal." That's our Department of Health. That's the kind of stuff we've had to deal with. Why should we trust these people? And look at what they're doing now. It's worse now. I'm telling you, they've been over there for years planning this stuff. They haven't invited us. They haven't talked to us. They're not looking at this stuff. And they're moving forward. They're changing the environmental laws, so we have less protections now than we had then. And they're going to run right over us. At least that's what they're going to try and do. But I tell you what, that's not going to happen. So what is in the steam? You know, what's in this steam? You know, they say, oh, you know, it's not. Well, look at the list. This is what's in the geothermal brine. The water is down there in the hot rocks, and it's contacting the rocks, and all of these things get mixed into it. It's not steam. It's a toxic soup. That's in the non-condensable gases. This is in the steam condensating brine. A lot of the same things are in both of them. But these are all things that, and like one of the speakers said earlier, they don't look at the combination of all this. They're looking at H2S. Is the H2S killing you? Is the H2S making you sick? Well, what about the mixture of all this stuff? And there's leaks. Every time they have to clean out a well, they have to let that stuff go. Upset conditions, they let that stuff go. Accidents, they let that stuff go. At every plant in the world, that people can come, there's some new companies now, they come in here and they're saying, oh no, we're going to be better. Well, we heard that before. No, our way is different. I've looked at all of the plants I can find. I've looked at all of them, and they all leak. They all clean out the wells. They all have upset conditions. They cannot site this in the middle of a large pre-existing residential community. It's incompatible, it's not safe, and they're throwing us under the bus. So this is about Helco making money. This is to keep Helco's bottom line. We're going to show the county council a better way. That we don't need geothermal. We don't even need this. This is really about Helco making money in the state and the county and the OHA. They love this because they're getting those royalties, which is just a tax, but they don't get that on this other stuff. So what's in the water? I'm going to run through this a little faster and speed it up. This is health effects of the air pollutions. We're going to cover all this stuff on Tuesday. There's mercury, boron, hydrogen sulfide, like effects, radon. There's a lot of studies now. You know, there weren't too many. One of the things about this is hydrogen sulfide is produced in a lot of industries: paper, pulp, gas and oil, geothermal. So they don't want to look at, they look at the high impacts if you get exposed to a high amount, but they do not want to look at long-term, low-level exposure to hydrogen sulfide, because it's going to cost them a lot of money in all of those industries to control that. And so it's been very, very hard to get the information. It is trickling in. The legator that came here was part of that, and there is now some information. And at least the information says, hey, we got to look at this. Well, you know, we need to look at it before we start building 25 more geothermal plants in Puna. I'm going to let Aurora cover this tomorrow night, but basically we've had some real problems with the women. I'm not real familiar with this, but this is going to get covered Tuesday. This is, again, there's some real problems with women getting sick in the community because of this gas. So H2S is a heavy gas, and they should have the monitors. The placing of the monitors, the whole monitoring system is called into question. We don't have real-time access. That's one of the things. I mean, if this thing is so up and up on the upright, why can't we turn on our computer and find out what's happening? You know, they've had 25 years. They've had 25 years to do this. They've known this is all happening. I asked, the last time was a couple of years ago, I don't remember exactly when, but I wanted some data. So I talked to the community monitor. And he told me, oh yeah, you know, it's going to take 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I was getting gas right then. I wanted to know what the readings were right now. He never did call me back. This is Wakeleopuna. This was true geothermal up in the rainforest. Look what they did. This was the largest intact lowland rainforest in the United States. And they went in there and they bulldozed this huge road. They built these ponds, and they just crapped on it. You know, I mean, that's the respect that these geothermal developers and the rest of these people have for Hawaii. Look at what they did. This is what we did. And then we sued them. And this is just a partial list of some of the lawsuits that we've taken. We have to pay for all that. Why do we have to sue the Department of Health? I had to sue the Department of Health to have them promulgate air rules, to emissions. You know, it's their job. They were required by law to regulate the emissions from PGV. They refused to do it. We sued them. We lost in Hilo courts. We lost in the Intermediate Court of Appeals. We got the Supreme Court of Hawaii. We won. And that's the only reason that we have the limits and the rules that we have right now. The thing is, we shouldn't have to do that, and we're in the same situation right now, and it's even worse. And you know, they're coming like a freight train. We don't see them yet, but trust me, guys, I've been here before. And I just want to use an analogy to what's going on over in the Molokai and Lanai right now. They're trying to put huge wind power plants on Molokai and Lanai, 11,000 acres on Molokai, and I don't know, a third of the island of Lanai. And they want to have a cable, same thing like they want to do here, cable that's going to go to Oahu. Well, they did over there, 90% of the people on those islands have said, we do not want this, and the legislature just passed that bill anyway. So that's what we're up against, and you know, we're going to try and work with those guys. But we're going to need everybody. You know, I mean, you guys are going to have to decide, you know, are we going to let them do this or not? Because a few of us can't do it. We can tie them up in court and all this, and we can do some things. But it's really going to be, what does Puna want? Does Puna want to allow this or not? And we don't need it, trust me. This is about money, and we'll get to that. So we're going to talk about the environment. That's an aerial picture of PGV and the people and stuff that live around it. And Diana is going to actually do this, and she takes care of this crater, and there's habitat for the shearwells, I believe, endangered species. So we're, you know, also this is going to endanger, you know, not just us, but maybe they'll stop it because the birds are in danger. They never want to stop it because of us or the Hawaiians. So we're going to talk about this tomorrow too. This is PGV was ordered to shield their lighting over there to protect the birds, and they have not done it. They do not care. That, you know, they just make their own rules and nobody does anything about it. This letter ordered them to shield that lighting, and they still haven't done it. On the Kauai, there was a successful lawsuit against a power plant because of the power lines and the effects of the birds, and we're going to be looking at that also. This is the drill rig, and that does not do it justice. Trust me, I can see this from my house. Carrie, the facilitator here, lives in Hilo, and she can see it from her house in Hilo. How does that affect the economy, the astronomy? Here's their permitting. We're going to cover all this for the county council on Tuesday. We're going to get into these impacts some more. And is it fair, like Steve was talking about, the Committee on Government Corruption? That's something that's very important. I hope you guys will work on that committee. This whole thing has just never been, we've never gotten a fair shake on any of this stuff. We've never been on the boards and commissions. We have a lot of good information. I'm sure you've heard, we've lived here. They haven't even talked to us. I went to the Energy Advisory Committee, and there's another one on the 26th, and they wouldn't let us talk. And they were patting each other on the back, and talking about how wonderful it is, and how the Philippines, this and that. And we're sitting there saying, hey, we got something to say, man. We live with this thing in Hawaii. Oh, you can't talk. You just shut up and listen. So what is it going to be? Geothermal at any cost? That's really what it comes down to. They say it's cheap. Well, look at your electric bill. Is it cheap? They've had it for 20 years. How cheap is it? They got 38 megawatts over there, they say. So where's the savings on the bill? Oh, well, we couldn't do it because of this or that, avoided costs. It sounds like an excuse to me. It doesn't pay my bills. If it's cheap, it's cheap. It's not cheap for us. We're going to talk about the economics. In 1990, we had Northwest Economics Associates do a study of the cable for us, and the cost came in at $4 billion. That's 1990. I'm saying now that it's my opinion that it's going to be over $10 billion to do this cable. For $10 billion, we can put a photovoltaic system, electric solar system on every house in the state of Hawaii, and that's without even building. That's without even building the power plants. That's just for the cable. We have so many. For $10 billion, we can do anything we want to. We don't have to turn Puna into an armpit for Honolulu. The Geothermal Working Group mandated to do an economic analysis. And so I read that report, and the only thing they did in their economic analysis was compare oil to geothermal. They didn't even look at anything else. That wasn't what they were supposed to do. That's the problem with all these panels, advisory committees, working groups, commissions. They don't put anybody on there that says, hey, what about solar? Or what about wave power? Or what about conservation? I'm going to get to conservation in a minute because that's my favorite. Did I go too fast there? We're talking about building bridges. We're still working on this. We'll have it better for you on Tuesday. But we think we need to build bridges with the community and government. We think we have answers that'll work, and it's going to be better for the future of Hawaii. These are going to be some of the things we need, and we're going to talk about. So we have ideas. We haven't had a seat at the table. It's not like we don't have anything to say or we can't contribute anything. We've been locked out because they don't want to hear what we say, because what we say isn't going to make Helco a couple $1 million extra a year. These are some of the things that we need now that we don't have. Now this is conservation. Now this is something. Now you look at that, on the 39.47% on the electric water heaters on the right side. This is Helco and the state's figure. So what they're saying is that 39% of all the residential power that we use in the state of Hawaii is used to heat water. Well, we can install solar water heaters right now, and even if we only got 20% of that, we could turn off power plants. We don't need to build power plants. Why are we building power plants? We've had this technology for so long. It's about money. But you put those solar water heaters on houses, and Helco's going to lose money. And the politicians aren't going to get their contributions. So are we gonna let them do this to us just so they can make money? And it's not. And this is also about what is it. We all live here. And what is the best? How do we want the future of Hawaii? Do we want to trash the environment and all this so Helco and these guys can make money? Or do we want to really look at a real sustainable energy future? I think most of us, a lot of us live on solar now. I don't have power. And most of the people I know,